What is going on, everyone? Happy Friday. What a week it's been. I keep saying this every single podcast that the industry is alive and well. I think we have liftoff, needless to say, over the last couple of days. Incredible news that we keep hearing as far as rumors, and these stocks are ripping. Welcome to the TDR Traded Black podcast. I am your host, Shad Dales. We're going to dive into a bunch of stuff today, including bringing on John Schroyer from Green Market Report. He sent the Twitterverse into a frenzy last night amongst cannabis investors, saying that we're going to get maybe an announcement at some point this month. So why do we think that? We're going to bring him in. But first, let's bring in TDR co-host Anthony Verrill. Happy Friday. Man, oh man. Just when we thought things were good, they just get even better.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. We've got momentum in the cannabis industry. The prices keep going up. Portfolios are looking nice. Sentiment's good. It looks like it's going to be continued strength here for a while.
I think you're right.
Florida names are moving well. Tier 1s are moving well. Tier 2s and 3s are moving well. Whatever the rising tide is right now that people believe, it's lifting all boats.
Yeah, MSOS.
It's great.
They broke the $10 threshold, and a lot of people said that's important. Why is that?
It was a big measure of resistance. I think the actual level was 10.08, which was big. And then a lot of the guys out there that do the charting analysis and TA, such as the chart guys, were like, they said it's smooth sailing between that point of resistance and then like 13 and 13, high 13s to like low 14s.
Yeah.
I don't know how much technical analysis is going to play into this right now. I mean, we've really just got to get continued strength in the continued inflows and strength and interest into the narrative. And then I think it's going to be, I don't want to say smooth sailing, but we've had a nice run so far. Love to see us close above $10 again today, going into next week.
It's exciting, isn't it?
It's great. It is great. We're actually at 10:30. We're actually at 10:32 right now.
It's great.
Yeah, I've got no complaints.
Leave some comments below. Let us know what you think. I think we got a lot of happy people in the space right now, so we'd love to hear back from you. Feel free to ask any questions, and we'll go back and forth with you and answer most of the questions. But next, I want to bring up, he's actually the new Trade to Black co-host. He's been a regular in some of our podcasts before. Let's bring in Mr. Cody Chandra. Happy to announce. Good to see you, sir. And yes,
boys,
he is now a co-host of Trade to Black. Good to see you. How are things?
Dude, listen, it's been as you guys know, I'm normally the pessimist on cannabis after the last 6 years, man. So
That's
it
changed.
Is nice. It's nice to see some green charts again, man. And speaking of Florida, how about Trulieve? Listen, I think that thing's gonna be a sleeping giant, man. 20 of the 127 MSO stores in the state of Florida. That's the Trulieve game.
Yeah,
I mean, that might be my favorite. Amazing. It's pretty amazing what Trulieve has, and I mean, Jesse Redmond over at Water Tower actually put up a chart yesterday that caught my eye. They can do the same thing they did in Florida and Pennsylvania. They've got the pole position in Pennsylvania. If PA goes adult use, that becomes another money printer for Trulieve. I think the stock is getting some much warranted attention right now, and I mean, it is the most undervalued out of the tier 1s. And it's great to see a Florida name kicking ass.
Like, I want to say, God, it might have been Water Tower, man. I'd have to try to go back through. They were talking about the Pennsylvania market the last 90 days. Like, I'm sure, obviously, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and everybody being home. But I think it was the fastest growing market in the country.
It's one of them. Yeah. It's one of them. I mean, we've got the strongest medical market in the country right now with Florida. PA, I think, is easily in the top 5. And they've got a ton of momentum, especially as it relates to patient growth.
Yeah. So, Cody, you're a venture investor in both cannabis, psychedelics, a lot of emerging industries, including crypto and AI. So first thing, just to get a better understanding of our audience as to who you are, and I know you've invested millions of dollars in this space. What's your take on the cannabis space here in 2024?
Listen, I think obviously hoping some of the political movement shifts. I think that we finally seen the bottom.
Yeah,
hopefully. I mean, I feel like I've said that a couple times over the last couple of years, but I think this is finally it. Listen, it's a beautiful thing now where the industry was at that point where you had kind of that explosion where, hundreds of companies popped up. And now over the last 36 months, you've really seen the consolidation aspect where now you're going to see the Big 10, kind of move away from, these pot shot types of, let's throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. I think now the fundamental story is going to drive. And, as you're looking at a lot of these companies where, profitability is starting to be the, before it was the growth story, and now it's starting to look like any other normalized industry where it's actual growth and profit. I think that we're going to continue to see the bigger operators, and maybe we see an acquisition or two this year.
I think there's going to be some major consolidation underway
which is
once
needed.
we get scheduled. We just saw actually one of the first deals I've seen this year. A portfolio of retail just got sold in Michigan this morning. The Cloud Cannabis in Michigan sold, I think it was either 11 or 12 of their retail dispensaries. They retained the cultivation and the processing assets, and they jettisoned off the retail to another producer. I think you're going to see Michigan consolidate into these massive Michigan retail portfolios, which Jason Wild and Ziad have both alluded to that could be part of their strategy here moving forward as well.
And to your point,
Saracen.
Yeah, to your point, Cody, as well. Emails writes record months November, December in Pennsylvania. So, all is well. And especially with imminent news, we keep hearing that everywhere in Twitter right now about rescheduling and whether that's indeed going to happen. Will it? Well, let's welcome in our next guest. He's an author at Green Market Report and also has some strong contacts in Washington. Let's welcome in John Schroyer. Good to see you, sir, and happy Friday.
Happy Friday, guys. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we were talking off camera before we got started. You're in Denver, getting ready to do some snowboarding. But before that, wow, what a tweet you sent out yesterday. And this has created quite the frenzy in the Twitterverse, because any kind of headline is going to blow things out of proportion within this space. But do you confidently feel that we should get some sort of announcement this month pertaining to rescheduling from the DEA?
This month, maybe next month. That's what a lot of the folks that I've been talking to the past couple of days have been saying. This kind of launched off for me with I did not expect one of my contacts to get back to me a couple of days ago. But this person said they had lunch, coffee with an Biden administration contact, and came away with a very clear, emphatic sense that a rescheduling announcement from the DEA was, quote, imminent. I thought it was credible enough to put it out there to share with everybody, and I honestly was a little bit surprised at how much buzz it got.
It was everywhere.
Yeah.
It was everywhere.
Yeah, no. Subsequently, though, I mean, everyone I've been speaking to, who's been involved in, trying to lobby the administration on this, has basically said something similar, some version of imminent, whether it's, the next few weeks or by the end of March. Essentially, that's been kind of a consensus. Is that I've had several people tell me that the word is that the Biden administration would like to get it done this month, in part because it's Black History Month. Several of others have said there's been very strong indications that there's going to be an announcement by the end of March, just the end of Q1. So we'll see if that happens. I can't guarantee anything, obviously, but that's what we're hearing.
No, I mean, you were quite accurate though with your HHS tweet. I mean, that was what, 3 days prior?
To that
announcement.
I do my best to try and keep on top of things, and sometimes we get lucky with what we hear and when.
So obviously we can't get into particulars, but when you say sources, I mean, I'm assuming these are guys that are in Washington, not necessarily involved with the process, but ear to the ground, that are credible enough to in either the actual Biden administration or the actual DEA, and then the information's getting fed down to you from those sources.
We're going to have another story published on Monday. For instance, just did an on-the-record interview yesterday with one of the executives at Columbia Care, now known as the Cannabis company, Adam Flores, who he's been involved with a whole coalition of companies and nonprofit activist groups that have been trying to lobby the Biden administration on rescheduling, trying to educate various folks on various different things, and he said flat out that he's expecting some kind of decision by the end of March, and would not be surprised if something drops even tomorrow. He told me.
So I noticed. I noticed in the cadence of your tweets, the first one was rescheduling. The second one, semantics wise, when you had said your sources, you mentioned Schedule 3. So are you actually hearing Schedule 3 from the sources that are in Washington?
That is generally the consensus that the DEA is going to come back and agree to what the recommendation was. I'll tell you what, because Adam Goers from Columbia Care the Cannabis was talking on the record. He told me straight up, this is a direct quote: if the DEA were to come back with anything other than what the FDA's recommendation would be, I think there would be a certain instruction to go back and get working on it again. That's definitely been the attitude we've heard out of the administration. So that's pretty clear. And I mean, it's fair that this is, again, all reading tea leaves. You know, there's nothing solid from anyone in the Biden administration, but that's kind of how political reporting works a lot of times. You know, so again, we'll have to wait and see, but I'd be very surprised if we didn't have an announcement from the DEA by the end of March. Yeah.
And you think it's going to be positive, right?
I think so. There's no reason to suspect otherwise, honestly, at this point. You know, the primary X factors from everything that from everyone I've been speaking to are going to come after the DEA announcement, because the DEA announcement, that's an important part here. Is a lot of people may not realize it's not simply the DEA flipping a switch and saying, okay, cannabis is moved from Schedule 1 to Schedule 3. The announcement of the proposed rescheduling kicks off another process, 60-day comment period. Opponents can file litigation against it if they want to, which is probably going to happen from folks like Smart Approaches to Marijuana and Kevin Smith. So that's another reason that a lot of people are expecting this to happen very soon, is because it kicks off, it's part of the process that the Biden administration likely wants to get concluded before the November election. That's another reason that a lot of folks are expecting an announcement, of course, in the next few weeks, literally.
Yeah, and I've heard that a lot. It's interesting take that you said too, that they would like to, ideally, if they could get it done fast, being Black History Month here in the month of February. But you're thinking more realistically, timeline-wise. Again, you don't know, but when you say imminent, that means pretty imminent to me, right?
It does, and that source who told me that was very tight-lipped about that. Did not want to share much more in terms of whether that meant days, weeks, a month or two. It basically did not want it getting traced back to this person, and which I totally get. Nobody wants to get burned, and you know, speaking to reporters like me.
No. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's much appreciated, because I mean, all of us that are involved in the cannabis sector, like we know things are coming, but there's a lot of just opaqueness everywhere. So 100%.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and I think the primary thing to fall back on is that everyone that I've been speaking to has basically been saying for months that the all indications, everything out of the Biden administration has been that Schedule 3 is what the president basically wants. That has been the messaging from the White House. That has been the messaging from all the people in the administration. There hasn't been anything to really contradict that. Whether or not that becomes a reality, it's obviously still a little bit up in the air, but that has been that's been kind of the reality.
What do you like, John? Have you had kind of like some of the people you've spoken to? Okay, let's say we get that announcement, rescheduling is announced. What then happens after that? What's got to basically come to fruition, as far as a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of questions about what does like really that defined as like what the current landscape is. And what's the timeline when it comes to really understanding about what's going to be involved in rescheduling?
You know, I was thinking a lot about that before this conversation, because another reality of this is, at this point, there really are a lot more questions than answers. Honestly.
I know. Yeah,
that's the bottom line. We know a little bit about the process in terms of how this is going to play out, but there's so many wild cards and so many X factors that it's just it's really hard to decipher. I mean, the first thing is obviously that 60-day comment period. The optimal scenario from everyone that the Green Mark Report team has spoken to is that rescheduling could maybe be finished within 90 days after the DEA announcement. That's
best case.
That's absolute best case scenario. I think that's pretty unlikely. I think it'll probably take a few more months than that or something. Just because there's almost certain to be some sort of legal opposition from, you know, Kevin Sabet and that crowd.
I'm sure you're going to get Pete Sessions and the other GOP senators and governors that are against it. Come out of the woodwork and try to
listen. This is also going to be a giant political talking point coming over the next 7 months here.
Exactly. And and I've had a couple of sources suggest to me also, for instance, that the president may want to see the DEA make an announcement on Schedule 3 before March 7th, because that's when the State of the Union is.
Okay.
And that's so it's there are a lot of different possible deadlines for various
One of
reasons.
our viewers is I'm blasting Thunderstruck right now, but all these low-hanging fruit dates is just getting people psyched. Mitch, you got any Thunderstruck going on there? Maybe we should play it too. But anyways, listen, if this does indeed happen in this short period of time, man, you called the HHS as far as doing the research there and this as well. We're going to have you on a couple more times. Might have to get your pick on who's going to win the Super Bowl as well, because you can kind of see the future before the average bird. But anyways, I appreciate you coming in and checking in and providing some feedback. But this has been extremely helpful with regards to the timelines and directions and what you meant with regards to your tweet.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. And as far as the Super Bowl goes, I'm probably no good. I was rooting for the Lions.
Yeah, I think we all were. Yeah.
Well, thanks, Sean. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
Makes our lives a little bit easier.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, John. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
Well, that was interesting to say the least.
Good.
We're talking,
like I said, I mean,
month. We're talking
in the dark.
State of Union address, end of March, like a lot of low hanging fruit that makes people just think, oh my God, crank up Thunderstruck.
Listen, the only thing that scares me is, let's be honest, how many times does it feel like we've all had this conversation? I'm hoping with such a pivotal year, this could be, listen, need a big win going into November. And this could be that one.
Yeah.
It's like Brady says, and I think this statement sums it up best. The political will of the establishment is behind the cannabis industry for once. There's loud megaphones in agencies of government, in the legislative bodies of government, at the executive branch of government. Like, the political will is actually behind us at this point. We're not hoping that Chuck can get a bill passed and bring it through the gauntlet of the actual legislative process. This isn't going to be a waving of a wand, but it's damn near close.
Yeah, listen, he's on to bigger and better pastures now, fighting the Zin gang off. You know,
let him take them out.
Well, man, oh man, MSOs. What's it trading at right now?
MSOS is at 1037 right now, with Consortium being the biggest gainer of the day, and Jushi. They're both up 16%.
Jushi's humming. I woke up this morning. You guys put out a tweet on our Twitter account, but man, I looked at that True Leaf chart. Wow. That's
this isn't financial advice, but I mean, buying True Leaf over any of the other tier ones makes sense. I mean,
Mitch, you got time to bring up that True Leaf chart? No worries if you don't. We can look at that. Look at that chart.
Insane.
Look at True Leaf. Look at that chart, dude.
But I referred to it as a SpaceX rocket. Them Florida rockets, man. They keep going up.
Yeah. Well, like I said, it's to your point off the top, Anthony. This run's not going to slow down anytime soon, especially after news when you hear like what John's saying. Like, this is going to be a rally that looks like it's going to sustain itself for a number of weeks. By the appears, it all depends, and obviously when rescheduling comes out. But even when that happens, then we're full on into the next stage. But to your point, you brought this up a year ago. Focus on incremental steps, not comprehensive. It's just one step at a time, and this is exactly what we need. And man, oh man, what a great win this would be for all of us that have been sticking around in this space for a long period of time.
It'd be nice. I was sitting in cash for a very long time, and I was getting really fed up looking at my account and being like, what am I going to do with all this cash? And finally put it to work.
Yeah, that's for sure.
We had lunch last week with a few larger institutions, and they're obviously waiting for this news to become finalized. If that happens, I think that the inflow of cash into this sector is going to be unlike anything we've seen.
So you're, based on some of the conversations that you're having, Cody, and your network, that, I think the big question is that when does some of the big smart money get involved? When there is a rescheduling, you think they start coming in aggressively?
Yeah. And listen, also another concern that a lot of these guys have is the liquidity aspect, right? I mean, that's the problem with cutting big checks, is if you can't move those big checks in and out, doesn't make sense, obviously, to be put. I mean, we watched the same thing happen in the psychedelic market, right? I mean, why did Cybin, Atai, Compass, all of the, the limited trading activity is going to be the biggest hurdle for a lot of the larger funds. I mean, if you have a staff of 350 people making $1-2 million bets, it's just not an efficient use of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, as big of a juggernaut as TrueLeaf is, it's I guess it's traded $5 million in stock today, so we're getting there. We need about 10 times that for it to be a value to an institution, but we're getting there.
Yeah. And listen, I mean, a lot of that too is major exchanges. I think that's also going to be another story to watch over the next, 10 months here is what does a rescheduling mean for listing some of the big boys? I think that's going to be maybe the most important factor here.
Have you talked to a good friend of yours, Iron Mike Tyson, what he thinks about rescheduling if that happens? That would probably be would mean a lot to him and probably like something that should have happened a long time ago in his point of view, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, man, he's been obviously at the forefront the last couple of years of having some of these conversations around decriminalizing more than anything. But I think that the rescheduling is probably, one of the lead components to that. For him, he looks at it as listen, it's an access question, right? Yeah. If more people have access, whether it's through a medical program or whether it's through a rec program, that's really what it comes down to. I think that in some of the markets, specifically the last time he was down in Florida, we were at a dispensary in Wellington and he was like, he's like, it's wild to me that, being in California and just being able to go walk into a store and walk out and then being down here, you need to know some, because listen, a lot of people down here, especially in Florida, I mean, Anthony, I'm sure you've seen this too. There's a lot of concern around, there's a lot of concealed weapon holders down here that enjoy smoking pot, and they're concerned about going and getting a medical prescription for a Schedule I substance and possibly losing their ability to carry a weapon.
So maybe I'm going to say a couple things I shouldn't say, but I don't really care at this point. Is it a concealed weapons license that makes you not able to get a medical cannabis card? Because I'm a gun owner in the state of Florida. It's not a concealed, it's assault rifles. And I didn't have a problem getting my cannabis card.
Yeah, so that's different than having a concealed weapons permit. Okay, so having a concealed weapon permit, you need to go through an additional federal background check and then also a state review. Okay. And then there's concern just based on some of the other states and some of the things that have happened. You have to remember, man, when you're filling out that form to the ATF, it specifically asks you, are you a user of any controlled substances?
Yeah.
So I did a background. So when I went and bought my guns, it was a background check that was not an ATF. I mean, I'm assuming it went through ATF as well because I had a waiting period and everything to go get it, but it's a concealed that coincides with the
additional scrutiny.
Richard Baldwin, Smoor and Tilt Holdings agreement. Your thoughts? We'll look into that. We've actually reached out to the Tilt Holdings team. We're hoping to get on their CEO relatively soon. Jordan Wyatt, what would be our show if we didn't have somebody coming on SNDL?
I toe tapped the bottom. I bought the bottom. I got the bottom.
Did you?
I got the bottom on SNDL. It looks like I'll probably start adding some more if it starts to get some momentum and some legs under it. It's I don't know. I don't know what you can't like about the stock at this point with the U.S. exposure, the cash position, and the dislocation of the market cap to actual value and the assets that they have.
I've been poking back around with Green Thumb.
Yeah.
Listen.
I think Green Thumb institutional capital is going to flow into Green Thumb, and if you want MSOS to go for a ride, people need to start buying Green Thumb and TrueLeaf.
Yep.
And Verona.
And I mean, listen, like you look, Minnesota and Ohio, I mean, 2 rec programs, big footprints there. I think that's, you could see another little rip there.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Big in Illinois as well. So Juicy just popped $1. What else we got?
Juicy is exactly at $1 right now.
Matt Zorn, we had him on 2 weeks ago. He mentioned on the Reddit AMA yesterday that a final order is possible. Well, that sounds about walking a fine line and playing in the middle as much as possible. Like, it is possible that we understand that. But, I will say this is exciting times because for the longest time, there was really nothing to talk about in this space. But these are the days that we've all been waiting for.
So another question that comes up: IIPR now.
Yeah,
I don't, dude.
Yes,
that could be the dark horse, man.
I think on the back end of S3, New Lake, IPR, something like a refi, like those are pretty juicy, as their underlines now have all better fundamentals. Their credit quality is also improved overnight, and it pays a dividend.
And all of their tenants are 15-year lease minimums, dude. So that thing's going to be clipping coupons. Like, you talk about how often do you get to talk about cannabis and get to talk about mailbox money? You know what I mean?
I was saying one of the better plays, waiting on Schedule 3, if you really want to not give in to the uncertainty, is to buy some of the REITs and get a dividend while we're waiting for this regulatory stuff to clear. Why not get paid to sit there and wait?
Yeah. So some of our concepts and philosophies that we're going to be doing with the show is Mondays with Dan, MSOs. That's what we're going to be doing each and every week. And then on Wednesdays, we're going to have Research Wednesdays. So our TDR professor and lead research reporter. I know a lot of you have reached out and liked the balance of some of the analytical side that we provide. We're going to be doing that every single Wednesday as usual. We've got our next segment coming up, which is one of the best of the week, if not the best, our boy GUAP. That'll be coming up on Fridays. But just to let everybody know, keep everybody calm and relaxed, we got some of the biggest heavy hitters, and obviously with Cody as well being involved, he's got a plethora of big-time names and celebrities that we plan to leverage and utilize that. So that is the approach that we want to take. I know a lot of people have been asking about the direction of the podcast this year, but be patient. We got big plans. That includes me packing my bags out of Canada and getting in person and building our own studio in Southern Florida, where I think it'll be a lot more engaging. But until then, we'll do this for now. But I hope you guys appreciate that, and feel free to, again, leave any comments or questions. A quick reminder, we had our first TDR research report pushed out yesterday by our Professor William McNarland, which we featured on MaryMed. Fascinating story. A lot of people we spoke to in the industry said it's one of the best, if not the best, that they've seen. This is exclusive to TDR newsletter subscribers. So, Mitch, you left a link below. Make sure to subscribe to our daily newsletter baked in. If you want to think like our TDR professor and get information that analysts create and provide, subscribe now. This is the TDR Trade to Black podcast. I'm Shad Dales with Cody and Anthony. It's now time for the best segment of the week. Cue it up, Mitch. Ladies and gentlemen, it is Friday. Mic drops with GUAP.
It's time for everybody's favorite Friday segment, Mic Drop with GUAP.
Oh, yeah. I like the music.
What is up, my friend?
Greetings, Earthlings. Did someone say plethora?
Someone did drop plethora
Three
in the
Amigos
chat.
Reference just for me, Shad?
Yep.
Would you say we have a plethora of guests coming up next week?
Did I say that?
You did.
Plethora. There is quite a few guests that we have on.
I'll give full credit to Todd Harrison. I'm going to start calling the trifecta of Schedule 3 AG memo and safer banking, the Three Amigos now. I'm going to just roll with that.
Well, good stuff. How was the week, my friend? I know we keep using that word imminent, and I think you're going to target that in today's.
I am going to joke about imminent a little bit for sure.
Are you?
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, this week I'm going to run back the same game plan from last week and do my own hot take on good, bad, ugly, called the fun, the FUD, and the front page. Before that, I want to give a special shout out to the rotting corpse of Richard Nixon. After all, the DEA was started during his presidency. I mentioned Dickie Nix because the tone-deaf DA posted a black and white dick pic on February 1st, the first day of Black History Month.
Oh, my God.
That his amplifying of the war on drugs was a way to undermine the hippie anti-war movement and the black and brown communities. I recall my dad actually writing a eulogy for him in 1994, which he sent to the big newspaper. It was never published. And it ended with, "Good riddance, hand me the shovel."
So great.
Reverend GUAP, among other attributes and titles, is a savage.
Love it. Love it. All right, my friend, over to you. Let's do this.
Yeah, so now for some fun, I want to talk about this cruise ship smuggling case. I'll read a little bit from the story, but it's pretty long. In Tampa Bay, Florida, 2 cruise passengers are accused of bringing more than 100 bags of marijuana on Norwegian Cruise Line's Norwegian Joy ship. No joy, evidently. According to a criminal complaint filed in the Southern District of Florida.
Wow.
The complaint said Michael Quisenberry and Savannah Minami brought approximately 72 kilograms, that's 158 pounds for those of you in the U.S., on January 11th, sailing from Miami to Southampton, UK. Yeah, that's some weight. Quisenberry claimed that the marijuana was for
58 pounds.
Yeah, 158. That's quite a carry-on.
Yeah, it's a lot of trees.
Yeah. This is the quote that I want to zero in on. Quisenberry, his defense, which sounds a little bit like Dave Chappelle's "I didn't know I couldn't do that" defense, was, quote, claimed this marijuana was for personal use and he had medical marijuana card back in California.
Fair. I don't see any problem with that. Having been to London and smoked pot there, I definitely understand why he brought some of ours back.
Straight snickle
for personal use. So let me get into it a little bit. Napkin math time, 150 pounds divided amongst 2 people. That's 75 pounds per day for a 7-day cruise, let's say. That's like 10 pounds per person per day. Snoop, Willie Nelson, and Method Man would be crushed by this amount.
You think?
These 2 are obviously iron lung funk doctor supremes. Can't mess with them.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty obvious to everyone listening that these folks were trying to take advantage of the prices in the UK, and were just trying to bring a huge amount over there and sell it off. It did not work.
Yeah.
Cautionary tale, I would say. I'm not going to give advice on how to travel with cannabis, or ship it. But I'm going to recommend you be very aware, like we were talking before the show, even if you have a connecting flight in some place where it's illegal, you're going from California to some other place, you stop in the UAE perhaps, you got to be aware of the laws in the even the layovers. Same goes for on a cruise ship, right? Like they can just drop you off at the next port and you're subject to the laws there. So I can think of a few better places than like the top deck of a cruise ship to light one up, but man, not worth it. And don't bring 150 pounds.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking
I don't even know if it was the weed that was the problem. I think it might have been the amount.
150 pounds, even if 150 pounds is like bricked up, like that's a lot of mass to be carrying around.
Yeah.
Like that's,
It's a suitcase, bro.
It's more than a suitcase.
Exactly. That's a few.
Yeah, that's a few like big suitcases.
What was that story? Nate Newton of the Cowboys back in the day. I think he tried to bring on a 200-pound carry-on bag in an overhead compartment. And I give him credit, but that's a lot of weed.
All right. So time out on the smugglers. We're gonna go to the stabbers.
All right, go stabbing.
This is the portion where we talk about the FUD. So we did the fun, now the FUD. This is the kind of story that Smart Approaches to Marijuana loves to make a big deal about, and boy, are they, right? So remember the woman who stabbed her boyfriend 100 times and killed her dog?
Yeah.
She just got 2 years probation and 100 hours of community service because, and her defense was, the cannabis made me do it.
Okay.
That's my own take. So key excerpt from this a story that Sam didn't link to. So Sam had a link to a story. I forget the prestigious publication that they put this out, and clearly there were quotes from Kevin Sabet, and they had worked together to put this story out. But in another story covering the same thing, this is a key passage. She told police she smoked marijuana from a glass bong, told her boyfriend, Amelia, now dead by stabbing, she didn't feel anything from it, so he said he would give her something stronger. After a bong hit of the stronger marijuana, she became acutely psychotic, according to the court filing, heard voices, saw visions, and had delusions she was dying. Sure doesn't sound like cannabis to me, guys.
It sounds like PCP or something. Cannabis does not do that to you. Not that I know what PCP does to you, but cannabis definitely does not do that.
It's all fake news. It's
Well,
stuff.
Did she stab herself too? I think I read in that article.
She did. She did at the end. Yeah, look, I could speculate all day about this. Perhaps she had some pre-existing medical conditions. Perhaps she, they weren't on the best of terms going into this lovely night.
You think?
Killing your dog and stabbing yourself sure sounds like, oops, I fucked up. I better make this look extra crazy and stab him another 90 times after the first one, So I don't know. All I'm saying is if I was doing community service in a soup kitchen with her, I'm not letting her slice the roast beef next to me,
No.
Sharp objects.
No.
Well done.
You're getting the ladle.
Well done.
Yeah, soup ladle for sure.
Yeah, you're getting the ladle.
You could do some damage with that, though, if she got on the weeds.
Yeah. So front page.
Yeah, front page. A credit to Canosaurus, my friend on Twitter. He wrote one time, how many soons make a now?
Yeah.
I thought it was just, I got replies.
He's a great Twitter follow, by the way. A lot of really good information.
For the Florida numbers, he kills it.
Yeah.
So thanks to the boy who cried soon, Chuck Schumer, we've earned the right to make jokes about these types of words. So Anthony tweeted an absolute banger the other morning. Good morning. My coffee is imminent.
Naturally came to me.
No, all respect to Schroyer and his reporting. I'm just saying that these are trigger words for us now, and we have to be aware of them. I also tweeted near the end of 2024 that I thought, or 2023 that I thought 2024 was imminent. And also, if I'm honking my own horn here, in the days ahead, I will imminently stop using the word soon. Just to combine all the trigger words into one.
Yeah.
I nearly fell out of my chair, laughing. I don't know if that's a thing. When I read Cambridge Dictionary's definition of imminent was actually very soon.
Very soon.
I'm just like, oh God, I'm laughing, I'm crying. I don't know how to feel about it. But yeah, I mean, we all use humor to make light of situations and also just protect us from getting our hopes too high and getting them dashed again.
Yeah.
As mentioned earlier, so
been there.
We joke about these things, but if we just listen to Schroyer there, and also Don Murphy was told by someone pretty close to the situation, just be patient, you will be happy. That sounds like a really thinly veiled, like, just hang on, buddy, stop chasing us down. You're about to get some good news. Chill.
Yeah. Well, I hope that's the truth. But we'll see, right?
That was another banger actually on Twitter yesterday. Don the Baptist is sticking. It's his nickname's going around.
All I know is after this podcast, my weekend is going to start imminently.
Same.
It means different things. It means different things to politicians. Soon means 5 years. In the days ahead from the AG means 2 years, and imminently means 0 to 3 months.
When I heard imminent, so we're on the same page, because when I heard imminent, I immediately was like, all right, it's not tomorrow. Let's just say 90 days.
Yeah.
Like that to me is imminent from a government agency.
Yeah. I think
the good thing is what John's saying too, is he's saying that he has sources that are saying that this is already done, that they're just waiting for it. Like they're waiting to release it, waiting to have the right political hit. Like the fact that they're saying it's done is positive.
Yeah, we'll know it's done as soon as we start seeing Pelosi grab some options.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Dude, I tweeted that. Don't even joke about that. I tweeted that last Friday, just joking around. I said breaking: Nancy Pelosi buys 1,000 $30 MSO calls on March 31st, which is a Sunday, and it's the day before April Fool's Day. No one got it. People were tagging unusual whales in the post, and being like, people were like, "This is irresponsible. Like, what are you talking about?" I'm like, guys, just go look at the options chain. They don't exist. I'll never do that again. I will never do that again.
Yeah.
No, I immediately messaged Anthony and said, you got to take that down. There's going to be about 30% of people who take that serious, and it's not going to be. It's
in my defense, the market was closed.
Yeah, that's fair.
The market was at least closed.
Yeah. El Guapo, High Tide, Green Thumb, Terrascend, MSOs. You like those?
Those are my faves. Someone asked in the chat what I liked. I put it in there. Remember, stock boys and girls, a rising tide raises all ships. Perhaps even a rising high tide.
Yeah.
You
Jason,
never know.
Dan Aaron's
too.
Dan Aaron's on Monday. Jason Wild, we reached out to him. We haven't got the date confirmed yet for next week, but he's going to be on along with Raj from High Tide. So we've got a plethora of guests coming on next week. Speaking of imminent, I think your golf game's imminent, Mr. Verrill. So I'll let you get to your tee off time. You got to show me. You got to show the swag.
I got to go touch grass.
Cody Chandra, this is the first.
Me too, Anthony. Me too.
You sure you want to stick with us characters?
Yeah, listen, I live for this, bud. I live for this.
Yeah, this is gonna be good.
I'm switch hats, guys. I'm going Durham Bulls because I'm bullish, baby.
Let's go. Let's go.
Don't forget, like this video, push this out to your network, and always subscribe to our channel because we would not be here without you. We appreciate all of our community outlining all kinds of comments and logging on every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Appreciate it. In the meantime, gents, enjoy your weekend. We'll catch back in with all of you on Monday. Take care, everyone.
See you. 3 hours left. Let's go.
Let's go. Hey everyone, thanks for watching. And if you want to learn more about the emerging industries that we cover, then leave a comment below and let us know who you want us to interview, the questions you want asked, and the information that you want to learn. We want to hear from you. As usual, click on that bell for all notifications to get the latest information. Share this video with your network, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel